Fica down, não caçar de gravação, tem que tocar tudo.
So, reason why I wanted to share your story is you turned that pain, that tragedy in your life around, used basketball as a therapy, but became a CHP officer so you could help other people in life. Am I correct?
Definitely, yes, sir.
Yeah. And you were on the night shift, you said, so you are very aware of the consequences of drinking and driving.
Yes. Saw it every night for almost 25 years. And then I also became when I promoted to sergeant, I became a drug recognition expert instructor, where we would train other officers and deputies from other departments on the signs and symptoms and testing techniques for people being under the influence of either alcohol or drugs.
Yeah, I'm taking the line here, guys. I vowed to myself to make a difference and honor my mom's struggle by helping others. I wasn't sure of the best way to do that, so after college I became a teacher for 4 years before realizing my true calling was law enforcement and the California Highway Patrol. You never know where someone comes from. No one knows anybody's background history, especially when you get pulled over, you know? You're just upset that you're getting pulled over.
Right.
But real people, real life, real things happen to them, and you dedicated your life to this. I mean, you make a living. Yeah. But you dedicated your life to this because you wanted to be able to reach out and to make a difference in other people's lives. How do you feel that's gone?
I think it's gone very well. I'm proud of my career. I'm proud of the work I've done, and I think I have made a difference. I know we talked about earlier the kind of thanklessness of the job sometimes. I've had people in the back seat that I've arrested for DUI tell me, you know, go out and arrest a real criminal. I didn't do anything. And I'm like, well, you'll be alive tomorrow to hate me. Mm-hmm. So
good line right there.
That's fine.
So let's talk real quickly about your experience in the Every 15 Minutes program, not from this side, but as the parent side. Because every parent I know that goes into this, they think, oh, I'm just going to go in there, and the next thing, it's like real. So share that experience if you would.
Yeah, it was definitely way harder to do this program as a parent than it is as an officer. Or
I'm glad I didn't have to do it as a parent.
Yeah. So I had two of my kids, 2 of my 4 went through at their high schools. The one that kind of sticks to me is my daughter. She was one that got transported to the hospital. So we get to the hospital, and having been through the program, I kind of knew what to expect, but it's not the same as when you're there. They take us in the quiet room, sit us down, and then they bring us in to see my daughter, who had passed away, and they pull the sheet back, so you see her all, you know, with the makeup, and looks bad. But what got to me was I touched her arm, you know, to say goodbye, and they had iced her arm down. And it literally just sent chills down my spine and made me think back to, you know, crashes where I've been where I've checked on people and couldn't do anything.
You have
for
that
them.
up here.
Right. And that's probably what hit me the most was feeling her arm like that, and just
and I'm sure you sobbed.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Again, I went in there thinking, oh, you know, no big deal, I got this. And then when it looks that real and the emotions come out, that's a great thing about this program is the emotions. You know, hopefully it helps the message stick a little bit better.
I'm impressed by the kids because you don't know what you're gonna get. It's one thing I don't think people understand, because they'll be like, oh, your camera was in the shot. This happens live. There's no reshooting this. Right. You have to go in and do it. But the kids, like, all of a sudden, you don't know what you're going to get from them, and then, boom, they come alive. And they did a really good job, I think, at both schools that I've been so far. I've got Colville still to do, so I can't speak, but I'm sure they're going to be fine. Right. But it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, the kids do a great job.
Yeah.
And, you know, with their peers are the ones that are watching, and it has that impact on them because their friends are the ones out there actually doing participating.
And in the beginning, when the crash first happens, it's pretty common for the kids to laugh. They did a little longer in Mammoth than they did in Bishop, but they all quieted down. It got serious at a point there, especially when they're moving the bodies and stuff.
Right.
And I was kind of afraid of the first one where the officer pulled the person out and dragged him around. I thought they might think that was cartoonish, and they did, but I think it was impacting and needed to be in there. Right. It was. I was so tired yesterday.
They stood.
They stood, and then you had the living dead, and then you had the different groups and the first responders and all that. And before you knew it, especially at Bishop, the majority of the school was standing up.
Correct.
Of all the people that it affected, which comes back to what I was saying about in our community, losing somebody, everybody suffers. Right. And in situations like this, it's not just the suffering, it's the mental images that are stuck inside the first responders' minds for the rest of their lives.
Correct. Yeah.
So my hat, even though it's on, is off to you guys. I'm not taking it off and exposing that, but my hat's off to you guys for what you deal with on a daily basis. I couldn't do your job. I think you guys are heroes. I think everybody that responds in these things are heroes. The fire department, the EMTs, that's a tough job. Yeah. And I don't know how you guys do it. I'm sure there's counseling. I'm sure that you guys have to talk things out. And
we do. We have debriefs when it's a major incident, and then there's also wellness programs and things were available for all of our employees.
Okay. Well, I'm hoping that this summer the only thing you have to deal with is maybe some road closures because of flooding.
I hope we don't have to deal with that either.
I think we're gonna have to.
I think we are.
I just hope no one is dumb enough to drive through it and get swept away.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you coming out. Like I said, what you guys do, my hat's off to you. Great job. I'm proud of what you guys have done with the Every 15 Minutes program, and I'm grateful to be a part of it. This is our second go around, and we really enjoy it and giving back. And we haven't told anybody yet, but we're taking a portion of what we make and giving it back as scholarships to the schools and the community, because you guys have been good to us, and we want to be.
And your videos have been awesome. So
thank you.
Thank you.
Colville, I don't know yet.
Yeah, we'll
find
get there.
out. I mean, we're looking at the party scene's good, but it's shorter. I just don't think the video is going to be as long as the ones that we've been able to put on with Mammoth. It's a smaller school and stuff, but yeah, the anxiety's still welling, and by the time this is showing, it's over. But yeah,
very good.
Well, thank you.
All right,
Appreciate it.
Yep.
All right. Jason Brown here on Skippable News, and I've got Rob Miller, right?
Yep.
And Rob, you're the mosquito abatement. You run a crew, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay. We've known each other for a long time.
Yes. Yes, we have. I've been with the mosquito abatement program for about 21, coming up on 22 years.
Wow, it's a long time.
Used to work with Ernie way back in the day.
Yeah, I remember Ernie pretty well.
Yeah.
Tell us about mosquito abatement, what you guys do.
Well, the program got started in 1985 after a big winter year of 1983. There was an outcry of the citizens of the Owens Valley to make a mosquito abatement program, and they found funding a year or two later and started the mosquito abatement in March of 1985.
And it's a long time running now then.
It's been a long time running.
Wow.
It was with environmental health for about 20 years, and then it switched to the ag department.
And how many people do you have on staff year round, or is it
two of us?
Two of you?
Just
and
me.
then do you bring on seasonal workers?
We hire 3 to 4 seasonals depending on the season.
And you have new workers now that?
Yes.
We
have one return seasonal, Roger Tucker.
Okay.
He works for the Mammoth Mountain in the winter, comes back here in the summer.
Oh, that works out, doesn't it?
And we had a hiring crux this year. We had to go through 2 sets of interviews to finally get anybody, and we finally got 2 local guys, kind of older. None of the young guys applied, so we got William French, who's lived here his whole life, and Robert Van Valzer. I think he's been here his whole life too, so they know the valley pretty good.
So these people that you bring on board, what type of education do they have to go through? I mean, I'm sure you work with pesticides and you're out disturbing the ecology to some degree, right?
Yes.
There has to be some type of requirements that they go through to be able to become a part of the mosquito abatement?
Oh yeah, we spend the first week training these guys. They have to go through a label review. We have 14 different pesticides we use, and they have to do label review and MSDS review. They have to read all the labels and learn the dangers of it. But most of our pesticides, they're all just a caution label. They're very environmentally safe to be used in California.
Do they have to go through any like schooling or online
what we
education?
I run them through a mosquito biology thing of the mosquitoes of the Owens Valley. We have like 14 different species. We have 4 genus. Basically, we have 3 snowmelt mosquitoes. We have 3 different floodwater mosquitoes. We have about 7 species of standing water mosquitoes with 3 genus. So there's Anopheles, Culex, and Culicida.
Talking about standing water, that's obviously one of the things you want to go around your property and remove. And I think I read something recently that says that mosquitoes don't travel far from where they're born. Is that true?
It depends on the species.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's a mosquito called the Culex rethrothorax, the tule mosquito, and it only flies a mile.
Oh.
But we have our floodwater mosquitoes, the Aedes melanimum, and they are known to fly up 20 miles for a blood.
Oh my
meal.
goodness, that's like Big Pine to Bishop.
Yeah. And they've been tracked with the right wind conditions and stuff to go like 100 miles.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So obviously you said in 1983 they had a big winter, and out of that came the birth of mosquito abatement.
Yes.
We just had the biggest winter on record.
Yes.
What can we expect?
We can expect, it's unknown. The closest we had was 2017, about 6 years ago.
How'd that go?
And that was just insane. We had, okay, let me tell you, as far as disease goes, what happens with a big water year like this where they spread water, we don't have as many of the floodwater, the day-biting mosquitoes, the Aedes melanimum, the Nigra maculus. But we do have the standing water mosquitoes, the Culex tarsalis, which is the Western encephalitis mosquito. And they transmit West Nile virus, St. Louis encephalitis, and Western equine encephalitis.
Okay.
So we're concerned about people with their horses. They should get vaccinated this year. This disease is spread by birds. The birds come in. They have to be viremic for a few weeks, and then the mosquito can bite them, and then the mosquito has to be viremic for a few weeks too. Before it can transmit to a horse or human.
Huh. How long do mosquitoes live?
It depends on the environment.
Species probably
yeah,
too.
This species actually overwinters as an adult. It goes into hibernation.
Okay.
So
where do they hibernate?
they hibernate in bushes, underneath your awnings, under just somewhere where they just kind of go into.
And they don't freeze to death?
No.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And some of these mosquitoes, the Culex rethrothorax, overwinters as a larva in the water.
Wow.
Same with the Culicida innerata. It's out all winter.
And so what do you do? Like, how do you, like, before we had the interview, you were talking about how you're trapping, and you said the numbers were 10 times higher?
Yes.
Wow.
I just did our
already
first,
for this year.
We just did our first, it's called the EVS CO2 trapping. Catches only female adults.
Okay.
And we caught 138 mosquitoes, and I looked back in the records from last year, and we had only caught 16 this time of year.
Wow. And where was that at that you did that
The
trapping?
South County run. I've set 10 traps out from basically from Aberdeen to Cartago and Keeler.
Yeah.
And most of them came from the Lower Owens River project.
Okay. Well, we're obviously flooding the fields.
Yeah.
That obviously is going to make things worse, right?
Yes.
Now, do you have like a poison? I don't know what it is that you're spraying out there, but is it water resistant, or as soon as the water comes, it's gone? How does that work? The spray, the fogging?
The main ingredient we use is larvicide.
Okay.
We're a larviciding program. We get the mosquitoes while they're in the water before they fly.
Okay.
And we use this totally environmentally safe product. It's a microbial. It's actually a living microorganism called Bacillus thuringiensis israelensis.
Okay.
And it's
say that really fast.
Yeah, we have a couple different formulations of it.
Okay.
and we spread that in the water. It's totally environmentally safe for those fish and the macroinvertebrates in the water.
Okay.
So it doesn't harm anything. It only affects insects with an alkali gut, which are mosquitoes, black fly, and midges, biting midges.
You also fog, right?
Yeah,
You guys
that's
still
our
do the
last.
fogging?
That's our last resort.
Okay.
When the mosquitoes hatch where we can't access, like what's going to be going on this year, is we go out and we do a thing called an ultra low volume fogging treatment.
And that's to
And
get them in the
we
air.
only have a certain window of time to do that with the correct wind conditions and inversion.
Okay.
Inversion has to keep it low on the field, so it's like from just right around dusk.
Okay.
I mean dawn.
Done.
Yeah,
Okay.
dawn. Dusk, people are out. We usually don't do any fogging.
Right. You don't want to get
Yeah.
them breathing all that.
No.
And you usually make announcements when you're going to fog.
We do.
Right?
We do public media releases.
So I know that occasionally we get some in our backyard, and I buy that off fogging spray that you can spray in your backyard, that liquid. Does that work? Does it really help, or am I
It's-
wasting my money and my
It's
time?
hard to say. This year, it's probably not going to help. There's going to
Okay.
be so many mosquitoes around.
What can you do around your property besides standing water to try to? I know
No.
there's plants that you do. Those work? Like
People
say
ask
you
me
can-
that all the time.
Right.
And I don't really. The CDC doesn't really have anything.
There's no.
What they do recommend is like certain products, like insect repellents.
Okay.
And
So that would be to put on your skin.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they suggest to wear long sleeve shirts, pants, shoes.
Right, but it's going to be hot, and you've
Mm-hmm.
got lots of activities coming up at the fairgrounds and different places. Like we're going into Mule Days, and there's going to be the high school rodeo. What can those people, besides wearing long sleeves, what can they do to protect themselves?
Well, the EPA recommends DEET
Okay.
repellent,
Yeah.
picaridin, and IR 3535, oil of lemon eucalyptus,
Oh.
and paramethane. This can be found on the CDC website.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
And
go to
they
the
recommend-
CDC website and
Yeah,
get information on how to protect yourselves from mosquito bites. And
that's
stuff.
what we do. Yeah, we
Okay.
recommend all that.
All right. Well, I appreciate you coming in and talking to us, and we want to have you back, and you can tell us how it's going in the battle of mosquitoes versus humans and
Yeah,
horses.
it's going to be a challenging year to say the least. for
Yeah,
us this
it
year.
looks like it's going to be. It looks
Yeah.
looks like you got your work cut out for you.
We
this year.
do. We do.
And I wish you the best of luck, Rob.
Thanks, Jason.
All right. Thank you for coming in.
You're welcome. Good to see you.
Oh, how do they? Another good thing is, how do people get a hold of you if they're seeing an increase in mosquitoes in their area?
We have a website through the ag department. We have a mosquito abatement Facebook page,
Okay.
and our phone number is 760-873-7853.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. And can they get to your program through the inyocounty.us?
Yes.
Okay. There you go.
Yeah. We're on the.
You have
website.
issues.
You go to
anything
the
you
ag
need to know.
department. We have our information there.
All
on
right.
the mosquito abatement.
I'm Jason Brown with Skippable News, and I am sitting with the Honorable Judge Stout, and we're going to talk about quite a few things today, aren't we?
I hope so.
Well, I see your agenda, man. It goes and goes. I'm just kidding. Let's get into it. Tell us about your interest in the area, you becoming a judge, your current involvement, all that. 'Cause I've known you for a long time, and
Yeah, it's been a while.
you've done quite a few different things as a judge.
And I keep thinking I'm 18 years old, and that's when I get hurt and visit people like Dr. Cromer, you know. But no, I've been very blessed and very fortunate. Came up here in 1977 and still a flatlander, I think. But my kids are okay.
77 to 23. I think you might
yeah.
not be a flatlander anymore.
I don't know, but I was very fortunate to work for about 10 years as the county public defender, and that really piqued my interest in child welfare and the foster care system. I represented children coming into our child welfare system, or referred to as dependency, or children who suffered abuse and neglect. And sometimes I represented the parents who were alleged to have engaged in conduct that put the children at substantial risk of physical injury or emotional harm. And I learned early on that we build silos in a lot of our systems, and it's true of the judicial system. We create this dependency system for dealing with families where there's allegations of abuse or neglect. We have what used to be called the juvenile delinquency system of children engaging in conduct that could be criminal if they were an adult.
Okay.
Then we have like a probate guardianship silo. And I've always been frustrated by sometimes the impenetrable walls we create around these silos.
Okay.
And it's, when I was public defender and I'd represent children or I'd represent the parents, there was always blaming the other. And one of the frustrations we've had for years is there's a law in California where a child can only be a dependent ward of the court or a delinquent ward of the court. They can't be both. So we'd go into these protocol hearings where there were allegations that the parents had been abusive, but the child was engaging in delinquent behavior. And the court would have to decide what system, what silo that child's going into. And I found it incredibly frustrating. I'll give you an example. We come out of one of those hearings and the court decides the child's going to go into the delinquency system, and the parents are in the lobby of the courtroom blaming the child. See, I told you it was all your fault, or vice versa. And for a long time, I was in my career of some, I don't know, close to 45 years now, trying to break down some of these silos so we could have a more holistic approach to helping that family. And when it's just focused on the kids or the parents, we're missing the boat.
Have you been able to do that?
To a degree.
Okay.
When I was on the bench, and I was appointed to the Superior Court in 96, I was very fortunate to co-chair the State Judicial Council. The Judicial Council is the governing body for the state courts.
Okay.
And I was honored to serve on the Judicial Council, but before that I co-chaired the Family and Juvenile Law Advisory Committee, statewide Judicial Council Advisory Committee, and also served on the statewide Blue Ribbon Commission for Children in Foster Care. And it gave me a statewide forum to try to effectuate change.
Right.
And with the help of the incredible Judge Len Edwards, retired out of the Santa Clara Superior Court, and Judge Michael Nash from Los Angeles, we were able to push legislation through the Judicial Council, the legislature, to allow for dual jurisdiction. Huh. So if a child is a dependent child of the court and they start engaging in delinquent behavior, they could also be in the so-called juvenile justice system now, and of course your wife has been there. She's
not home on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Yeah, she's been there and done that and doing it well. What we proposed didn't come out of the legislature looking like anything we suggested. You know, that happens from time to time.
Yeah.
But it was a start, and so the counties had to opt in.
Okay.
And decide how they wanted to handle it, but it really brought the ability to have our social workers, our probation officers, and of course the attorneys to deal holistically with the needs of the family. And to me, it's just like common sense. But you know, some people, it's hard to break down some of those walls.
Yeah.
And we say, look, let's put your money on the table and your hands behind your back, and what can we do here to make it work? And but we're making significant progress. I think even I sit frequently in the Superior Court, California and Sacramento. And speaking of family, I know Mr. Tyler has a sister-in-law who...
Hi, Mr. Tyler.
Yeah, who's an incredibly well-respected attorney representing children in the Sacramento Dependency Court. They don't have technically a dual status procedure there, but they accomplish it in other ways. And they do a very good job of being able to holistically deal with the needs of the family. And, you know, sometimes it's just what door these kids come into the system. You know, they come in because they got caught shoplifting, or they come in because abuse of excessive corporal punishment, for example. They have the same, especially here in Inyo County, the kids look alike. They have the same issues, same problems. The families do. And it's sort of just what door they come into the legal system. And so it's, and most of them all, again, they present with the same issues. They have unresolved grief, trauma. Many are living in homes where they're being subjected to intimate partner or domestic violence, addiction issues for years, just the carnage of methamphetamine is beyond belief, and now fentanyl, even more dangerous, has joined the list. You have parents that are not home because they're in jail or prison. They're separated. They don't co-parent effectively at all. Again, chaotic home with drug addiction, domestic violence, different partners coming in and out. And we see it daily in all kinds of cases. But this dual holistic family approach really gives us an opportunity to intervene. You know, one of the calendars that the Sacramento court has, and I enjoy sitting on, is a commercially sexually exploited children's calendar. And these are young children who are being trafficked. And they all come from the same sort of trauma. They have what psychologists now would call post-traumatic stress disorder.
Right.
And we've learned how that can adversely affect these children, their cognitive development, their ability to control their impulses. You know, we know that a child's brain isn't fully developed until they're really in their 20s.
Right, like 25, 26.
Yeah, that impulse control. And I told one youth in court, I said, think of the consequences. You know, before you choose to engage in this decision, play the tape through to the end.
Right.
And the district attorney very politely said, Your Honor, I don't think he knows what a tape is. I was showing my age, so I've had to change my script.
Play the SD card to the end.
Stream it through or whatever to the end. So, but, you know, trauma-focused treatment is so critical. You know, we see young kids that have been exposed to trauma. They're early on, oftentimes nonverbal. It's like, you know, PTSD from a war veteran. You know, a loud noise goes off and they're ducking for cover under the table, the bed, hiding. They'll hoard food. The concept of something is mine is just kind of foreign to them because everything gets used, stolen, or consistency in their life. And so we've tried to do a lot of work with collaborative courts. In Sacramento, for example, they partner with the University of California at Davis and have dedicated psychologists to work with these trafficked children with what's known in psychology as trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy.